Joining me now, Republican Senator Marco Rubio of Florida, who of course is a member of the Senate Intelligence Committee, and many folks saw him questioning at all these hearings over the last couple of weeks. Senator, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thanks, Chuck. Thank you.
Let me begin with the latest on the Russia probe. The president tweeted the following earlier this week: "I'm being investigated for firing the FBI director by the man who told me to fire the FBI director. Witch hunt." Senator Dianne Feinstein, your colleague on the Intel Committee, put out this press release on Friday. The message the president is sending through his tweets is that he believes the rule of law doesn't apply to him and that anyone who thinks otherwise will be fired. That's undemocratic on its face and a blatant violation of the president's oath of office. Pretty rough words from her. She doesn't normally use language like that. Do you concur with her sentiment?
I think everybody just needs to keep watching this, but take a deep breath too, because the FBI is going to do its job. I don't care. The FBI doesn't sit around all day and read tweets. The FBI is going to do their job. Mueller's going to do his job. And she's on the committee with me. The Senate Intelligence Committee is doing its job. And the best thing that can happen for everybody, the president, the country, our institutions of government, is for a full and thorough and credible investigation that reveals everything. That's the best thing that can happen. I really believe that, including for the president. And that's what's going to happen, I believe.
He refers to it this week alone. I think he's referred to the Russia investigation as a witch hunt, I want to say 6 or 7 times. That's not embracing the investigation, and that's not adding to the credibility of the investigation. That seems to be an attempt to undermine the credibility of the investigation. Does that concern you?
One thing we've learned, I think, from the testimony of multiple people now is the president's pretty fired up about this, okay? From every pronouncement we have seen, feels very strongly that he did nothing wrong, and he wants people to say that because he feels very strongly about it. I don't think that's a mystery, and he is expressing himself in that way. That said, that in no way is going to impede any of this work from continuing. It's going to happen. Now, you've never seen a single member of law enforcement or the administration come forward and say anything different. This is going to move forward. We're going to get the full truth out there. And I repeat, I believe that is the best thing that can happen for the president and for this administration, is for everything to come out, and I believe that it will.
So you don't believe these tweets are intended to send a warning to either Special Counsel Mueller or to the Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein?
Well, you know, I have no basis on which to make a decision on what his intent is. I can tell you what its impact is. Right. And I can also tell you that what the president, I don't think it's any mystery. He feels pretty strongly about the fact that he did nothing wrong, and he has tried to get multiple people to say that publicly because they've told him that apparently in private, and so he wants them to say it publicly. But that in no way is going to impede the work. The work is moving forward. Yeah. And I think it's important for us and everyone to understand that. And if that changes, then we'll have a different conversation on the air. But that's not what's happening right now.
Do you think the president's legal team is disputing the notion that he is currently under investigation for obstruction of justice? Do you think it would be appropriate for the special counsel at this point, considering the confusion behind the firing of the FBI director? Do you think it'd be appropriate if he were investigating the president on this? He's not. An investigation doesn't mean guilt. An investigation simply means investigating. Do you think it's an appropriate investigation?
Well, first, you said it doesn't mean guilt. Just to understand, a lot of times that's how it's portrayed. No one ever wants to be under investigation, even if you did nothing wrong, because it has negative connotations. That said, I think they should look at everything. Look at it all. As I said, I think it'll be good for the president, good for the country, to have a full and credible investigation so no one can ever say, you didn't look at this or you didn't look at that. That's what needs to happen. I believe that's what will happen. And the result of that will be good for America, so that we can move on to take on some of the other important issues that are confronting us.
There has been some concern, I think, and by some of your colleagues, that the administration doesn't take this very seriously, what Russia did. I want to play for you a response from the Attorney General earlier this week that was quite stunning. Here it is.
I know nothing but what I've read in the paper. I've never received any detailed briefing on how hacking occurred or how information was alleged to have influenced the campaign.
Did you find it startling that a member of the National Security Council hasn't had a briefing on what Russia did to in the election? Here, what the intelligence community said, it seemed to be stunning to me that a member of the President's National Security Council, because that would imply that the President's National Security Council is not even discussing this issue.
Well, let me say to you this. Yes, the initial reaction people would have is, wow, somebody, the Attorney General, has not even been briefed on Russia's interference. But then you realize the reverse, and that is, if he had been briefed, then what we would be talking about today was whether that was appropriate, because he's recused from anything having to do with the 2016 election in Russia. So it's kind of a catch-22. You're damned if you do and damned if you don't in regards to that. As far as the general theme of Russia's interference, look, the president has said he doesn't believe it. I believe it. Not only do I believe it, I know it. Almost everybody else does.
Okay.
And ultimately, whether he believes it or not, the work's going to move forward.
Think about what you just said. The president said he doesn't believe it. You believe it. You've seen the evidence. How stunning is that to you, that the president of the United States disputes the evidence of 17 intelligence agencies in this country?
Well, again, ultimately, it's at the end of the day that he has a right to his opinion on these issues. Bottom line is, we're going to continue to do our work. You saw today, this week, that the Senate voted on sanctions, and the president will have to make a decision about whether he'll sign that or not. I hope he does. I believe there are sufficient votes in place to encourage him to do so. But in the end, we're going to do what we believe is right. That's what we're always going to do. We'll have disagreements with the president from time to time, and hopefully, by the way, his conclusion on that will change
the more
when we issue our report.
The more the administration tries to soften the sanctions in the House. At any point, do you understand if some people see that as circumstantial evidence in this probe?
I could understand how some people will make that argument. I could also tell you, though, that I personally believe that at the core of the resistance is not the president. I don't think the president himself has a problem with additional sanctions on Russia. I think the concern actually comes from the State Department, and for the following reason. They argue that they are trying to get the Russians to be more cooperative on a number of fronts, and that this could set us back. It's a legitimate argument. I've thought about it. I don't agree with it. And you saw the majority of my colleagues didn't agree with it this week.
Senator Marco Rubio, as always, sir, thanks for coming on, sharing your views.
Thank you.
And by the way, happy Father's Day.
Thank you. Likewise, thank you.
You got it.